Hey, this is Wileen Benson, and you are on the Daily Gratitude Call, where we start every day in gratitude. Gratitude is the highest energy state that we can be in. It creates a frequency of positive vibration that attracts positive experiences into our lives. Hey everybody, this is Wileen Benson. This is our Daily Gratitude Call. Thank you for joining our call today. Just want to welcome those who are here live and also those who are listening on the podcast. Super excited for what we get to discover today in gratitude. Today, a lot of things for sure. I can tell that there is a lot of creation happening right now, and a lot of just gratitude was shared about people, your part and also others' part in your creations. And I'm just the words that I wrote down are participation in creation, gratitude for participation in creation. And I'm just going to leave it at that. And we're going to do our private silent meditation, 90 seconds, and just write down whatever comes to you on gratitude for participation in creation. And I'm beginning the timer right now. All right. There have been a couple of things, a couple of opportunities over these last few days for just like new understanding to come to me. And today in my daily GPS, in fact, as soon as this call's over, I'm going to go back and I'm in creation mode right now. Just in the middle of that. And I know that it's been sparked and facilitated, kind of the catalyst has been the masterclass that I did this month on the gratitude triad. And then yesterday, Laura was doing some training on using water as a substance of creation in our Architecture of Life mentoring group. And she shared a triangle as well. And and God was at the top of both of those triangles. In my gratitude triad, God's at the top, I'm down on the left side, and others are on the right. And as I look to God for inspiration and then share that inspiration with others, then they look to God for confirmation of that inspiration. And there's this cycle of gratitude and inspiration that's happening all the time with the gratitude triad. And then with Laura's, at the top of hers is the life. It's like this creation model. And the life that God puts into it is at the top. And then your intention is over on the left. And then love and gratitude is on the right. And that's very simplified. It's very complicated, not complicated. It is simple. But it's very in-depth training that she taught yesterday. And I'm just like, seeing how powerful it is to put God at the top. And, I'm part of it, and there's my participation in the creation, but God is the one who finishes it. And, even Christ is called the finisher. I know that God will do his part, and the only parts that I have control over are the parts where I get to participate, my intention, my love and gratitude, the way that I ask and listen to inspiration and then actually have the courage to share it. That's my part in the creation. My participation in the creation allows him, he can't do his part until I do my part. And so that was, I just circled the word my part. I know that God will do his part, and I do have control over what gets created in my world based on me doing my part. Who else has something they'd like to share? Phil?
What came to my mind is I'm a parent, and the kids that I've been allowed to participate in bringing to this earth.
Mm.
I was given that power to create and participate in the creation process, and to know that those kids are not mine, but they're from him who sent me.
Mm-hmm.
And there's just an order in things, and they very well could have been my parents in this order. And so as a parent, then I think, and I've counseled several people who, have these feelings about, they just don't feel like they're being a good parent because their child is acting a certain way, or because they feel like they're losing control or something, and so they judge themselves and they say I'm unfit, and that kind of thinking is out of fear and in a belief that exactly what a good parent is supposed to be like, and that you actually have control over the situation, but you don't, because they're independent souls who came here for the same reason you're here, and that's to have a life experience. And they were always God's. And you just got to participate in the creation process. And anyway, so that kind of thinking helps to, when, for parents, when they realize that they're not theirs. They have a stewardship, correct, but they don't own their children. So
beautiful. Thank you. It really brings a feeling of humility for me, especially when you said the order of things was that I was the parent of this person, but it actually could have been the other way around. They could have been my parent, or, they could have been my cousin or not even, born on the other side of the world or whatever. But the perfect order of things, that they are my children, that God trusted me to put those children into my home, and that he trusted that I would be enough to be able to take care of that soul, and what humility that brings to me. And also I appreciate you saying that they are independent souls. Once they're born, we participate in the creative process to bring that body here, onto the earth, to bring that soul here through, creating a body for it. But that the humility that it brings also to know that they are an independent soul, and they are equal to me as a child of God, and as my brother or sister in God's eternal family. I appreciate you sharing all of that. Who else has something they would like to share? Tammy?
I'd like to share. Mm-hmm. So I was thinking about just how grateful I am that we each have the opportunity to align our wills with God, so that we are able to create in the best, most efficient way. And then just to also echo what you were saying, Wileen, at the first, just as we place God at the top and allow him to be at the top, and then do our little part it's absolutely amazing to just watch how his power, as we allow his power to flow through that creation, and just watch the ripple effect. It's absolutely awe-inspiring.
Well, beautiful. I also just want to tie that to what Phil was saying too, that when we do that, when we are looking to him and doing things according to his will and doing just the absolute best job that we know how to do, then we can let go of that idea that I'm a bad parent or I'm not a very good creator or whatever, because we know that that's God's part. He has control over orchestrating things and how, the outcome, the way that it plays out. And if we're following his instruction, then it's like, you know what, I'm doing my best and I have no idea what God's going to do with this. And I'm just going to sit back and eat my popcorn and watch it unfold. It helps us to kind of let go of some of that judgment. Thank you. Colleen and then Lara.
I'll just hope that I can make this real quick. I was just thinking about what worship means to me. And, like I talked a little bit about Moses yesterday and what believing Christ and what it means for me is that I will never be depressed again. I know who I listen to. I recognize Satan's voice. I recognize the Lord's voice. I also recognize the rocks around me, that they are lingering warmth from an inspiration from like my dad, because my dad told a story when he was really young, how he and his brothers, his dad, this was during the Great Depression, and his dad was determined not to take any money from anybody. So all he started out was a cinder block basement. And all winter long, the boys had to sleep out in a tent. This was in Blackfoot, Idaho. It's a little bit warmer than where I am, but not by more than 4 degrees or so. But it is, he would talk about taking rocks and that lingering warmth. And I feel like my dad is still lingering warmth and coolness. The rocks take on, and they just carry it a little longer. And that is such a beautiful thing. If we think of worship, if we think of as just being there just a little bit longer. And sometimes I'm reluctant to even start my scripture study because I hate to quit. And I hate to say I'm done for even today. I'm going to linger that thought. I'm going to hold on to that rock and get that warmth and not ever end it. I don't want it to stop. I'm sorry, that's
okay.
I always share and wonder if I am just making any sense besides.
I always capture some really awesome things from you, Colleen, and this lingering warmth that you're talking about. I had thought, just a few months ago, I had a thought that everything that is on our earth right now is God created it. And so his blueprint, his lingering warmth is there. It's here. It's right here on the earth. Even though we don't see him in a physical form here, his physical form is here through his participation in the creation of the earth. That lingering warmth, everything that we see, that's why nature is such a great place to connect with God, because his lingering warmth is still there. Thank you. Let's see, Lara and then Kathy.
Well, when we talk about participating in creation, I was thinking about, creating in unity with God and the wholeness of who I am. And it took me I just felt like it was like we needed to check scripture on something. And then what came up was Psalm 1. And just the first couple verses are, blessed is the man who walks not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor stands in the path of sinners, nor sits in the seat of the scornful. But his delight is in the law of the Lord, and in his law he meditates day and night. Now, traditionally, in my tradition, we look at that and think, sinners, and you have this heavy guilt and shame, right? But if we get past that and we look at it like from a creative standpoint, and certainly we don't want to be immersed in that stuff. I'm not saying that, but it's like there's more to this. And it just, it reminded me like the things we talked about yesterday with creation and with blessing and with God's law, his scientific natural laws of creation that we can derive out of, quantum physics and biology. We can see evidence of it everywhere. And so if we look at these laws of creation and we think about our role and the roles of intention and emotion and that life force, like we were talking about yesterday. And then we look at this verse. And then as I'm looking at this verse, I'm thinking, we don't have a lot of wiggle room. Okay. Like when you create, it has to be pure, and you can't, and we can do it. Like, that's the thing that was like, yes, I can do this. I can be in the space of that consistency in creation, not be on my own power, but because God fills in the gaps where I waver, right?
Mhm.
And it brings into play like all these scriptures through that we have about, the double-mindedness and so forth, that it's not just that our thoughts have to be in the right place. Our entire soul has to be aligned with him. And then we can create all day long, and we create what is beautiful. And if you read the rest of that, it's only a few more verses, but it goes on about how, like the next verse is, he shall be like a tree planted by the rivers of water that brings forth its fruit in its season, whose leaf also shall not wither, and whatever he does shall prosper. Whatever he does shall prosper. And then the very last verse is, the way of the ungodly shall perish. So like, this is like, whatever we're doing in life, we're not messing around here. Okay. Like, this is really awesome, and it can be really terrible, as we've experienced. And that doesn't mean everything is roses and sunshine in our external environment, but it does mean that we are able to create and prosper based on God's law, by aligning with his law. For someone who's lived a life with so much trauma, especially when it was out of my control as a child, it can be hard to incorporate that into my paradigm, that, I really can prosper if I do the right thing. Because when I was a kid, doing the right thing did not help me prosper. Let me tell you. Okay. It was still miserable, but this is the truth. And so it's just really cool to like really come to that to a deeper level.
I love that. Yeah. Participation in creation with God. And we have so much truth in the scriptures that we just like read over, kind of glaze over. It's like, oh, that's cool. Those are really some fun words, nice words, flowery words, but it is truth. And when you read it in a connection with like the science, the physics that you were sharing yesterday, and, all of that. And just for those of you who are not part of the Architecture of Life mentoring group, this is a group where people are choosing to partner with God to create a business where you are actually going out and serving people according to your purpose, your mission, your calling, your gifts, your talents, fulfilling eternal debt that you created before you even came here, when you committed to serve people in a specific way. And the Architecture of Life is how you do that. And it's a much higher level discussions that we're having than we do here on the Gratitude Call. We get little snippets here on the Gratitude Call. So if you're interested in that, make sure that you reach out to me, askwylene.com, or just private message me on Facebook or something, and I'll give you a little more information on that. Thanks, Laura. Really appreciate you adding that piece.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm at right now in my daily GPS, is that easy multiplying and replenishing, the tree being planted by the stream, that, that's what I'm creating right now. Thank you.
The tree's not doing a whole lot. It's just standing there.
But it's in the right place, and it's, I love it. Thank you. Kathy.
Awesome. I loved what you said about how powerful it is to put God at the top, and thinking about all of these triangles. So it really took me back to, I still remember being at the temple, being sealed to my husband in marriage, and being taught about creating a beautiful marriage with that triangle, with God at the top, husband and wife across from each other at the bottom. And it took me years to realize that as we each strive to reach closer to God, that triangle closes in at the top. The closer we get to Him, the closer we are to each other. If you can imagine, each of those sides being a ladder. And as we climb the ladder, we get closer together as we get closer to God. And as we strive to include God in our lives and in our marriage, we do get closer to Him, closer to each other. And I also, it took me to the participation in creation, and twisting that a little bit, turning it to creative participation, and how you talked about we all have our gifts and how we create together with others. And so it also took me to that triangle with God at the top, and in every relationship, seeing someone across at the bottom. And as we strive to help each other in every relationship get closer to God. And I love that we talk about things like this on this call. But it also, I mean, the first thing I thought about actually was in my business. And I took several hours last night to listen to some of my leaders in audios and live webinars, and just really felt that creation that we're building together, and
Beautiful.
different areas. And as I've invited others to join my business, keeping God at the top of every relationship triangle with many prayers, and choosing to follow Him and His example of love and caring, and choosing to be better every day. Delighting in the laws of the Lord. I love that bit. Participating with one another to create and solve problems, and just leveling up in our belief that we can build our dreams together.
Awesome. I love that. And you've mentioned a couple things that I just want to reiterate how important it is that we invite other people to be part of our creation, to participate in our creation. It's like Colleen was saying, I'm not going to, with her dad, I think she said that I'm not going to ask for help from anyone. we're going to have this cinder block basement through the winter, and because I don't want to ask for help from anyone. Okay, we could choose to be that island of myself and do it all myself, and we can eventually get there. Or there's a lot easier way, when we can reach out and we can invite other people to be part of our creation. And like you mentioned, mentors and audios and YouTube videos and this gratitude call, and lots of really awesome things that are available to us to help us have an easier time. That's part of the gateway of charity that I talk about in my book, The 7 Gateways, is recognizing the gifts and the talents of other people and inviting them to be part of yours to create a more efficient and synergistic experience for both, inviting them to show up in their gifts and talents to be able to expound upon what they can create themselves, and then also making it easier for us. And I love also what you were talking about, that triangle, and how it becomes more of a straight line instead of a triangle. You bring those two bottom pieces together, like in the example you gave, you and your husband and God all being in one straight line instead of a triangle. That's I think the ultimate goal that we have is, to have all of us in alignment with each other. Everybody is one. We're all one family. We all, what I do is going to send out energy that will eventually come back to me. And so we all really, what I do to you or for you or with you or whatever is going to come back to me. So we really are all one whole, one whole piece of God's creation. So awesome. Thank you, Kathy. Any last shares before we shift over to our permission process? Let's go ahead and take a deep breath. A lot of really awesome things have been opened up, possibilities, and a lot of different new understanding about the way that we participate in our creations, the way that God participates in our creation, the way that others participate in our creation, the way we participate in other people's creations. And knowing that the creation of the earth is still has the blueprint of God on it, that we still have access to all of the resources and everything that he created in the beginning. And also the scriptures, giving us such wonderful sound wisdom and advice on how to create in the same way that God created. And knowing that we have this blueprint in our souls, this DNA that is still part of us, that has come with us from God, straight from God, the ability to create in the same way that he does. And just being open to new possibilities, new insights based on these new thoughts that have been shared. Go ahead and take one more deep breath. And I invite you to envision a triangle with God at the top and you over to the left, and your intentions, what it is that you want to create. Maybe put a picture of what it is that you want to create inside that triangle. And then over to the right, the energy that you are putting into that creation, the gratitude, the love, the desire, the hope, your bigger why to create that, anything that goes beyond yourself. If you can just put all that energy over on the right bottom side of that triangle, and then you as with your intention and who you are right now on the left side of the bottom of that triangle, and then seeing the full picture of what it is that you want to create inside the triangle, and knowing that God's the lifeblood that God injects into your creation is all resting upon you doing your part, your participation. He's ready and willing to do his part to participate in your creation if all the pieces match up. And so first of all, looking within your heart and within your belief system, is there anything within your belief system, any limiting beliefs that are showing up that are out of alignment with this, whatever it is that you want to create? That vision that's in the middle and the center of this triangle. What are the limiting beliefs that would be out of alignment, that would really stop God from being able to participate in your creation? What's holding him back from being able to fully participate? What are your limiting beliefs? And of course, there is a cost of having those limiting beliefs, that vision of what it is you want to create in the center of that triangle is never going to happen, or it won't happen in the highest and best way possible if you have that limiting belief. So right now is the moment to choose if you want to keep that limiting belief and continue holding God back from fully participating, or do you want to give yourself permission to choose a new belief that will invite God to participate? So if you're ready to give yourself permission to choose a new belief, say yes.
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 Awesome.
Yes.
Yes.
Wonderful. And then what are those new beliefs? And I invite you to write those new beliefs inside of that triangle, around and through and over and under this vision that you have of what it is that you want to create. Write those new beliefs in, and choosing words that are in alignment with the way that you want, that you're seeing this creation happening, so that it is like a tree planted by water that just automatically is there and is multiplying and replenishing itself completely and easily, simply. Write your new beliefs in a way that it creates ease, order, confidence, love, beauty, all of those good things. And just write those new beliefs on the inside of that triangle. And then over on the bottom right side of the triangle, with the energy that you're putting into this creation, love and gratitude are the two pieces that are necessary. So if there's any kind of energy that is associated with this creation, maybe that is not love and gratitude, check in and see what is that limiting belief that is associated with the energy that is being projected about this vision. Whether it is fear or some kind of holdback because, oh, I don't know if I can handle this much success, or what is this going to, how is this going to affect my relationship with some certain people, or whatever energy is still lingering that is not love and gratitude. It's like that Psalms 1 that Lara read, that this is not the kind of energy that we want to surround ourselves with. If we're going to be creating according to God's participation, then we need to let go of that energy and choose into that alignment with Him. And so, again, maybe checking in what limiting beliefs are associated with that energy. Give yourself permission to let go and choose new beliefs that will invite new energy that is in alignment with gratitude and love. And again, writing those new beliefs inside of that triangle, and there's probably more than can fit inside the triangle, so just go ahead and write it all around the triangle. Take another deep breath. And as you have made these changes, see how instead of this being a triangle where God is at the top and you're over here to the left and this energy's over to the right and you're all separated, that it has actually, with all of this, these new beliefs that have been created on, written on the inside of the triangle, and this vision that's been created on the inside of the triangle, that it's all one, that everything is connected. We're all connected. You know, all three of those pieces are connected by those new beliefs that you've created, by the vision, that we're all on the same page. Your energy, your intention, God, everybody's on the same page. And the people that you get to touch, the people you get to serve. There's just one big whole thing, one big whole creation, no separation. And what is the one most important thing that you could do today to take action for this whole vision to now move from being just a picture on paper with words to an actual creation that you are part of, physically part of? What's the one inspired shortcut today for this to be you in your physical creation? And in a moment, I'm going to open it up for, if you have time for maybe just like one or two quick shares. And I'd also like to invite anybody, if you're struggling in this at all with your creation, I would love to have a conversation with you. Just a 15-minute call. And all you have to do is just go to askwylene.com and you can schedule that 15-minute time with me. Askwylene.com. Who has something that they would like to share about their experience today? Phil?
Yeah, so I had something I'd like to share here. So
Yeah.
my limiting belief is that I'm not worthy that to connect, and so the new belief here is that, you know, or that I'm not worthy to receive God's light, or that, you know, I can't get that information. So my new belief is that God's light is always shining, and that He is immovable and accessible at all times, and that His principles are eternal. And anyway, that's where I went. But what I envision here is, you know, I envisioned I've been reading, you know, like in the Book of Mormon, you know, and Ether and stuff, and about all these kings who fought for power and would rule in unrighteousness or in righteousness. And it's interesting that even when they didn't seek inspiration, that God sent inspiration. And sometimes that inspiration came in the form of prophets. Sometimes that inspiration came in the form of a famine. Sometimes that inspiration came in the form of another someone who is righteous, who conquers them to restore justice. And it's interesting that like God's always trying to get our attention, and all we got to do is just tune into Him, whether we feel we are worthy or not. Then He's always there, always trying to get our attention and help us do the thing that will benefit others in the most profound way.
Well, beautiful. Thank you. Even an unrighteous king is worthy of inspiration. So why not me? Thank you. I love that. Laura, and then we'll end our call. Thank you.
So this is just really quick. And it's that I just want to remind everyone that the triangles are spinning. So, when we envision energy in the universe, it's always spinning. And that's a really, 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 really important part of creation is movement. And I find that, I don't know why, but I just had to share that because if we remember that it's spinning and that there's always an interplay occurring between God and us and the other person, and there's always an interplay, it just empowers the entire creative process that we're engaged in and that we are that is filtering through our minds. Okay, does that make sense? So
I want to just reiterate how important it is for us to be asking on a daily basis, doing your daily GPS and asking for those inspired shortcuts every day, because everything is constantly in motion. And so if we're stagnant, if we're sitting here waiting for something to happen or whatever, there's always something that can be, we can be asking, we can be doing, even if the inspired shortcut is to rest today, then there's like an active rest that could be happening. So I love that. And there's way more that could be said, but we're going to go ahead and end our call.
Right.
This is
I'm trying to keep it brief too.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you. And it looks like there's some things going on in the chat too. So I really appreciate everything that has been shared. Let's see.
Well, yeah, because Tammy's talking about blessing, and the thing is, we're blessing God as He is blessing us, and that's part of that, right? So anyway, read Tammy's thing because it's really awesome.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and read that. As I visualized the triangle, I was on the one side, and Christ was on the other side. So here's another triangle, right? I gave my intention, high vibration energy, to Christ. And then we both ascended up to God together. That's that spiral upward that you're talking about, Laura.
Exactly.
Yeah. Giving the creation to God, God blesses it and then orchestrates every necessary thing for that creation to be manifested. Super, super amazing. Just bringing it to God and expecting, that Christ is going to be there, inviting Him to be part of your creation with you, and that He will make up the difference. That we're, just like that scripture that you read, Laura. And if you can post that scripture in the Facebook group, Breakthrough with Gratitude, and, go ahead and share whatever thoughts you'd like along with that. And then Colleen, looks like you posted a YouTube video in the chat. If you could post that in the Facebook group as well, so that we can all experience that as well, about worship.
And I think Tammy's, if you could capture what Tammy just said too, that was really amazing.
Yeah. Tammy, will you copy and paste your statement out of the chat into the Facebook group? That would be awesome too.
Yes.
Love you guys. Thank you so
everybody.
much. This is one of those days that you just don't want to hang up, but but we can continue our conversation on our Facebook group. So love you guys. Thank you so much for all that you brought to our call today. And we'll look forward to continuing our learning on the Facebook group, and then be back together tomorrow at 7 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. Thank you.
Yes, love it. Love you.
Love you guys.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Hey, thanks so much for listening. And I encourage you to tune in every day to the Daily Gratitude Call. And the Daily Gratitude Call happens live every weekday morning. I'd love to have you join. So to find out how to join live, go to my website, WileenBenson.com. Thanks for tuning in.